Okay. It is a salmon shirt. But this is the NOW podcast coming at you a little early today because we want to do a gaming stream tonight. So we're going to try to knock this out. Thank you, Ty, for the host. We're going to be starting with Money in the Bank. We're going to be hitting Slammiversary, and then we're also going to be hitting all of Fyter Fest. So night 1 and night 2. And then NXT, Smackdown, and Raw from this past week. So we are not going to the week prior because nothing really happened besides Fyter Fest, really. But yes. But yeah. I'm here as always with Trevor.
What's up, everyone? And I want to say thank you, Wicked, for the gift sub. I wasn't on when you hit me with that, but thank you very much, sir. And hi, Ty.
Let's see. So I guess we'll just get right into it with Money in the Bank. So we did not get the SmackDown Tag Team Championships on the main show. We got that on the pre-show, unfortunately. So the Mysterios versus the Usos. Just this whole Bloodline storyline has been the best thing that they've had going on. So them not putting this on the main card is a little blasphemous. But yes, the Usos did win the SmackDown Tag Team Championships in a good kickoff match. As far as kickoff matches go, this was a decent one.
Yeah, this really should have been on the main card. Even if you
Thank
make
you, Brock,
I
for
know
the
the
host.
event was. I know the main show was kind of long for a show recently, but we are used to 3-hour pay-per-views. If you a little older,
Yeah.
older than 10.
And then we had the first match of the actual card being the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. I just want to point out, thank you, Will, for a general manager show for the future. And thank you, Lotus, for the host. But yes, Alexa Bliss made her entrance first, and she just kind of stood on the second rope the entire time for everybody's entrance. Didn't
Just
move once.
stared everybody down, not blinking.
Yeah, it was a little creepy, but it was nice. It was fun to see. Rated, thank you for the host. Oh, you gotta go? I mean, you don't have to. You want to, but it's okay. We don't mind. But yeah, the match itself was a good Money in the Bank match. Now everybody was kind of under the impression that Liv Morgan was most likely gonna win here, but that's not what we got. While everybody besides Alexa Bliss, who was buried under ladders. Everybody else was fighting on 3 separate ladders to get the briefcase. Out of nowhere, Nikki does the smart thing, goes up in between 2 ladders, and while everybody else is fighting, she pulls down the Money in the Bank briefcase, which kind of felt anticlimactic, but it was also smart in the same sense.
This wasn't a bad match. I've seen people hate on it, but it had good spots. It wasn't like anything like you're gonna write home about, but it wasn't bad. And I like that they buried Alexa under the ladders, making her look kind of strong. That everybody felt she was the one they had to take out.
In the beginning, once the ring was cleared and Alexa Bliss reached up at the briefcase, I was gonna be highly upset if some magical stuff ended that match, where she was just gonna have the briefcase drop into her hands.
That would have been hilarious, though.
It would have been
People would have
great
been
for
so
late in the
pissed.
match. It would have been great. Like, I would have loved to have seen it, like, late in the match. But, like,
Yeah, they could have
that
had
was
it
one of the
rigged
first things.
where they had like a switch or something, and when she did that, the switch
They
would
could
just
have
release
unlocked
it.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been,
Not
it would have
that
been
she needed
creative.
the briefcase.
Yeah, but if she was going to win, that would be one hell of a way to give her that win. But Nikki, almost a superhero, does win the Money in the Bank briefcase.
I wish they'd just call her Nikki Ash or just Nikki.
We got a new person joining. I believe that says noob. I put it behind chat, which wasn't smart. Let's put this over here. Thank you for joining. Thank you for following. Yeah, hope you like what you hear and be active in chat because we definitely want to talk to you guys about everything we're talking about. But next up, we have the Raw Tag Team Championship match, which this is the one that I think should have gone on the pre-show, if any of them. We had the Viking Raiders versus AJ Styles and Omos. The match itself was better than I thought it was going to be. In my head, before the match, I kind of figured that this would be the time where they lose the titles because I didn't think they were going to hold these titles for nearly as much or nearly as long as they have. But that was not the case. This was a good match itself. Omos really showed some additional steps in his growth in this match. He actually looked like a pretty decent wrestler. But they do pick up the win when Omos pins Eric after a choke bomb. But much better match than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be a fairly quick squash match, and this match went on for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I agree with you. This one should have been the one on the pre-show, especially because the story is much better for the other one.
Yep.
For the Usos. And the fact that they actually switched the titles.
Absolutely.
If you were going to give the titles to the Vikings and not to the Usos, then this one should have been on there. But like you said, this was a good match. Almost looked better than he has. Cause, I mean, he hasn't done much in the other matches. But they're doing a rematch of this because it wouldn't be a Raw if he didn't do the same match like 5 weeks in a row.
That's true. But next up, we did have a squash match. We had Kofi Kingston versus Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship. And yeah, from start to finish, Kofi just got destroyed. Not as bad. Maybe a little bit worse. I was going to say not as bad as the Brock Lesnar squash, but at least that one was quick. This one was just Kofi getting destroyed the entire time and not having 1 ounce of faith whatsoever. This is Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
And then we're also going to be hitting on Slammiversary, Fyter Fest, Raw, Smackdown, and NXT from this past week. But yeah, this was an elongated squash match that didn't do any favors for anybody here besides maybe Bobby Lashley, but
it makes Bobby look like a beast, but I hated it. I hated it because what they just did to Kofi, and Kofi got such a pop, it should have never happened. And the only reason I can say I understand this is because of who won the Money in the Bank. We'll get to that. I mean, I still hate it, but I can understand if that's we're gonna go with it for who cashes in there. But yeah, this was just awful call.
I agree. But on to arguably the match of the night. We had the Raw Women's Championship match, Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair. And like I said, this was arguably the match of the night. If you discredit the men's Money in the Bank match. But this was a very good match from start to finish. There was very good story told throughout the entire match. It was a nice back and forth. You really didn't know who was going to pick up the win. But in the end, Charlotte Flair does end up locking in the figure 8 to win her 14th 14th Women's Championship. How did you feel about this match?
It was a great match, but I didn't like the ending. That's Charlotte won again. Let Rhea try to do something. Let her have a run. Let her get the fans over to like her. The fans just came back.
Yep.
Charlotte didn't need a 14th title run, and her career is like less than 5 years old now on the main roster. I don't know. Remember
about.
Exactly when.
Just about. It's anywhere from 5 to 7 years right now.
Yeah, she doesn't need to beat Ric Flair in under 10 years.
No. And she's 100% gonna do it at this rate. And I think that's their end game with Charlotte, is to beat Ric Flair's record. But yes, next up we had the men's Money in the Bank match, which we had Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, Matt Riddle, Ricochet, John Morrison, Big E, Nakamura, and Seth Rollins. This match was great, and I kind of knew from the start when Ricochet's in there, you're going to see some wild shit, which we absolutely did. There's shades from the inaugural North American Championship match when Riddle pushed over the ladder that Ricochet was on, and he did a springboard to the outside to save himself. This match just as a whole was good. Drew McIntyre at one point looked like he was going to win, which would have pissed everybody off. But we were saved. We were saved by Jinder Mahal, Veer and Shanky, who attacked him and drug him to the back. The match continued. Multiple spots. You really didn't know who was going to win in this match. Because at a few different spots, it looked like Seth Rollins was going to win. It looked like Kevin Owens was going to win. It even looked like Ricochet was going to win at a point or two. But in the end, Seth Rollins was climbing the ladder. It looked like he had an opening to go up there and win the match. But Big E came behind him, popped him up, hit him with a big ending off the ladder. And then he went up to win the Money in the Bank briefcase. Which is great because I didn't see Big E winning, to be honest. I probably would have put him as like number 3. I thought that they were going to either give it to Kevin Owens or Seth Rollins at this point. But nobody can be mad about Big E. They did pick the right person here. Story-wise, it's going to be great. Big E definitely deserves it.
Yeah, I love Big E winning. I love that big ending off the top of the ladder, or near the top. That was great. Kevin Owens getting power bombed through that ladder by Seth Rollins.
Jeez,
that was a great spot.
Brutal.
I thought, like you said, this match, there was no way this match was going to be bad with who was in it. Every one of these guys is great. Even if you don't like Drew right now, he's still great. And him and Big E were the big men in here to do the big man spots. And everybody else was the super athletic high spot guys. Well, Kevin Owens is big man too, so he does some high spots for his size. But yeah, just overall great match. Great. Big E winning is great.
Yes, Ty, but he also got a 5 count.
If he goes after Lashley, that's the only reason the squash match from Kofi, to get revenge for Kofi, makes any sense.
Yeah, but Big E has also been feuding with not really Roman, but he's been feuding more with Paul Heyman on like Talking Smack and things like that. He's made it clear that he wants to go after Roman. Are they going to let him go after Roman? I guess we'll find out. But as of right now, it would make more sense for him to go after Bobby. Because Bobby's had problems with Xavier Woods. He's had problems with Kofi Kingston, which is all, like, fresh. So Big E going over there would make sense. But Big E's also stated on multiple different occasions that Roman is the guy he wants to take down because Roman is the guy and he wants to be the guy to become the guy. So I guess we'll see where this goes. But he realistically could go anywhere he wants with that briefcase. So, but moving on to the Universal Championship match, we had Edge versus Roman Reigns, which was a pretty good match. I still don't like Edge in the ring. But this wasn't a terrible match. It told more story than anything, which is still good. Now, this did have a lot of back and forth. I kind of guessed from the start how this was going to end. I guessed it like 2 weeks ago on this podcast. Because rumors were swirling that Edge does have creative control, and he said he wants a feud with Seth Rollins, and this kind of put all the pieces together. But yes, the referee was knocked down. Edge does take another piece of a steel chair like he's been doing the past 6 weeks now, basically, and hitting a crossface with the piece of the steel chair. The Usos do get involved, but what I didn't like about this is that they cut the cameras and you could see the Usos walking down, but you could also see the Mysterios walking behind them. Like, they didn't surprise it at all, like they should have, because you could clearly see the Mysterios were just not rushing. They were just walking, waiting for their spot. Yeah, it was just weird. But the Mysterios do stop the Usos, because that's just continuing that feud from the kickoff match.
Why were the Usos just walking, though? It didn't make sense. If they wanted to help Roman, they should have sprinted out there.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Oh, we're just going to slowly walk, even though he's got a metal bar in his mouth, pulling his head back.
And then, just when you thought that maybe Edge was going to pick up the win here, Seth Rollins comes out of nowhere and hits Edge with a super kick to break the hold. It also lays Edge out. And yeah, Roman Reigns ends up picking up the win after interfering one more time after Edge was setting up for a spear to potentially get the win. He gets hit with a spear of Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns ends up getting the win. But after this is when the real story started for the future, because Edge and Seth Rollins do brawl after the match, but that also clears the ring, clears the arena for Roman to be there by himself, and John Cena's music to hit, and that pop was beautiful. Yeah, I didn't think that John Cena was going to get this pop. If you told me 5 years ago John Cena was going to get a pop like this, I would have told you you're lying. But he got one hell of a pop. It's one of those things of you don't realize what you're missing out on until it's gone. This is one of those. John Cena came in, didn't say anything whatsoever, which that kind of threw me off a little bit. But yes, John Cena has returned. Thank you, Bat, for the host.
Did you can't see me in front of his face?
That was it. That was it.
The Pat McAfee, where?
Yeah, that was great. Michael Cole did say that John Cena has arrived, and yes, Pat McAfee, because nobody can see John Cena, responds with "Where? I can't see him." So that was great. But that was Money in the Bank. Overall, it was a pretty good pay-per-view. I can't be upset with that. It's the best pay-per-view they've put on in a long, long time.
Yeah. Only one match that I really didn't like, and that was the squash match.
Yeah, the other matches were okay. The Money in the Bank matches, the women's Money in the Bank match was all right. The men's Money in the Bank match was great. Charlotte versus Rhea was great. The other matches, meh. But the ending also gave you a little pop as well, which that was awesome to see John Cena return with that big old pop that he deserves. But moving on to the other two pay-per-views, which for some reason people are trying to compare them heavily, and Travis is one of those because he sent us a meme about it. Personally, I don't think that Money in the Bank was the best show of the week. I don't. I think that Slammiversary probably was the best show of the week. But Fyter Fest, if you combine night 1 and night 2, or even if you just take night 2, I think Fyter Fest could have potentially been better as well. But they were all good. All of them are good, which that's a good sign because wrestling's in a very good place right now to where you have multiple different promotions putting on big shows. It's just great. Great in general. But moving on to Slammiversary, you said you just caught clips of it, so I'll run through these very fast because I know chat probably doesn't care too much about Impact. Maybe a couple of you do. But the knockout, the show opened up at Slammiversary with the Knockouts Tag Team Championship match. Havoc and Rosemary defeat Fire and Flava to win the titles in a okay match. I wouldn't have put this as an opener, but it was an okay match. The next match is what I probably would have put as the opener because this was a great match. You had an Ultimate X match for the X Division Championship. You had the champion, Josh Alexander, going up against Chris Bay, Miguel, Austin, Raju, and Williams. And Alexander ends up picking up the win in a great match. This is one that you should go back and watch. Josh Alexander is great. He's going to be a star one day. But yeah, this was just a great match overall. Next up, we had a mixed tag team match. We had Brian Myers and Tennille Dashwood versus Matt Cardona and a mystery partner. But his mystery partner ended up being his girlfriend, Chelsea Green, who debuts back in Impact after being released by WWE just a few months ago. Cardona and Green pick up the win in a decent match. This match was more for storyline purposes than anything else. But I really don't like this feud in general, the Brian Myers and Matt Cardona feud, because everybody knows they're best friends in real life. They have a podcast together, and they just talk all the time about how they're such good friends, but this feud has been going on for like 2 months, and it makes no sense because they're still doing the podcast. But the next match was Eddie Edwards going up against W. Morrissey, other known as Big Cass. Morrissey ends up picking up the win with a pretty good match. Morrissey is showing a lot more than he was in WWE. He's not shown as just a big man. Yes, he's a big man, but he can do much more things. And Eddie Edwards is great. He deserves a bigger platform as well. But yes, W. Morrissey does pick up the win. We had the return of Finjuice, which is great. They went against Fulton and Shera, and Finjuice ends up picking up the win. Next up, we had Chris Saban versus Moose. Moose is just having troubles lately. He's been losing a lot more than he should. But this is another one where Chris Saban ends up getting a roll-up victory, which has become pretty on par for how Moose loses because he's such a dominant figure. And then we had a fatal four-way for the Impact Tag Team Championships. The Good Brothers were in this match against Rich Swann and Mac, Violent by Design, and it's Fala and a mystery partner, which the mystery partner which I don't know how they did this, but they gave No Way Jose his same exact name, which is still under trademark. But they did change it the very week after. So he's not No Way Jose anymore. He's just No Way. But the Good Brothers end up picking up the win in a pretty good match. When you have that many good wrestlers in the ring at the same time, you're bound to have a good match.
So he lost his last name? What is this, WWE?
Yeah, he lost the only name in his name. He lost the Jose portion. But it was nice to see him back because we haven't seen him in a long time. Even before he got cut from WWE, we hadn't seen him for like 6 months prior to that. Ever since he was feuding with like Mojo Rawley. Like, I think that was the last time we saw No Way Jose. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's true. Tough to support Big Cass when he was abusive to Carmilla. Yeah, I really didn't see too many details about that, honestly. I know that he grabbed her arm once, which obviously isn't good, but I don't have enough details on that. Yes, there is a wrestler now named Just No Way. The next match, we had the Women's Championship, other known as the Knockouts Championship. We had Deonna Purrazzo going against AEW's Thunder Rosa. This was another great one-on-one women's match this week. Deonna Purrazzo ends up picking up the win. After the match, though, Mickie James comes out, which this is kind of a debut, but not really, because she was just there to reach out a hand to Deonna Purrazzo and invite her to show up to NWA's all-women's show Empower. Deonna Purrazzo denied, and Mickie James ended up hitting a chick kick on Deonna Purrazzo, the champion, to end this little segment. But yes, Mickie James does have a pay-per-view coming up through NWA. This is what she was trying to do with WWE, but they denied her so many times. But NWA is letting her do it, an all-women's show. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Isn't Thunder Rosa NWA? She just appears on AEW?
No, she just signed about 2 weeks ago to be exclusive with AEW. Yeah, she was NWA. But she has just recently signed over with AEW. It actually might have been less than 2 weeks ago. Let's see. Thunder Rosa. But she still has it in her contract where she can do whatever she wants.
Yeah, and I mean, they all work together right now anyway, so, well.
Oh, yeah, it definitely was
TNA,
not 2 weeks ago. It was 3 days ago. It was not 2 weeks ago. It was 3 days ago. I don't know why I thought it was so long ago. But Thunder Rosa, as of 3 days ago, is officially signed to an AEW contract. But yeah, they're all working together anyway.
There was some other big signings recently, so
yeah,
kind of overshadowed it.
That's true. Yeah, and those rumors have been going on for at least a week. But the main event of the show, which if you are going to watch any match from this pay-per-view, watch the main event. You had a no DQ match for the Impact World Championship. You had Sami Callihan going up against Kenny Omega, other known as NAW's World Heavyweight Championship. Or champion, sorry. But this was a great match. This was a brutal match. There was a lot more that happened here that I thought would, as far as violence goes. Because Kenny Omega, yes, he's been doing some pretty violent matches on AEW, but I didn't think he was going to transfer it over to Impact and also do it there. But yeah, this was a great violent match. It ends with a one-winged angel onto thumbtacks to put away Sami Callihan. So Kenny Omega is still the Impact World Champion. But after the match, the Good Brothers and Omega are in the ring, hitting a 2-sweet, and Jay White from New Japan makes his way to the ring. He also had his never open weight championship over his shoulder. They tried to get him to join in because he is the leader of Bullet Club. He denies and says they're fake Bullet Club members. They're not real Bullet Club members. And that's how we end the show. Jay White, Kenny Omega, face to face. That's a dream match. If you guys are into New Japan at all and know how good Jay White is, this is big. Kenny Omega actually lost the last time these two had a match together. So this could be something big in the future. It is rumored that Jay White has signed a contract with Impact Wrestling. But we are also informed during this show that there will be a pay-per-view that has 4 promotions all collaborating on it. Those promotions are Impact, AEW, New Japan, and AAA. They are going to be having a pay-per-view. What pay-per-view was it? It was an Impact pay-per-view. Why am I blanking on this? I'll look into it and get back to you guys. Because that pay-per-view happens in September. I do know that. And I believe it is a Impact pay-per-view. But that was Slammiversary. And, it was a great show overall. And seeing Jay White arrive there as well, that's huge. Absolutely huge. The last time Kenny Omega lost a one-on-one match, he lost to Pac about a year ago. I think that was his last one-on-one loss.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, he lost to Pac. He tapped out to Pac. Oh, no, he didn't tap out. He passed out. And he fell on his face. You hope to never hear that song again? You're going to hear it tomorrow. Or, no, Thursday. You're going to hear it Thursday at the pay-per-view. And you're going to hear it more than once. You may hear it like 3 times. Because he's going to win the match. So that's at least twice. So, there's that. So get used to it. He's going to be the champ for a while. And he is the longest reigning champ that we have. That we have ever had. But that was it for Slammiversary. And I guess now we'll kick it over to Raw. And you can hit Raw if you'd like.
Alright. We opened with Mr. John Cena returning, and he once again got just a huge pop.
Dun, 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 dun.
And how often do you see Cena getting a huge pop besides the two nights that he was there? And
rare.
The crowd just loved it. He came in, started telling why he was going after Roman, disrespecting Roman, saying he's not a good champion, how he wants to fight him at SummerSlam, and it was just a good promo. And then Riddle and him have a little thing together, and you can just tell that Riddle's like eking out, you know.
Bro.
Riddle's in the next match.
I love that segment.
Yeah, it was a great way to get the crowd up, really into everything. So yeah, great opening segment. Next we had Riddle and the Viking Raiders versus John Morrison and AJ Styles and Omos. And this was a decent match, you know.
Mm-hmm.
All of these guys can go almost okay so far, but the other guys are all good in the ring, especially, you know, AJ's amazing.
I loved how it ended. I thought it was hilarious how it ended.
Yeah. So you got The Miz sitting outside in his wheelchair, and Riddle comes over, grabs the dripstick, shoots Omos with it, throws it into Miz's hands, and runs around before Omos can turn around. Omos sees Miz with it, thinks he's the one that did it, gets down, and Miz is just wheeling backwards. And then John Morrison sees this, tries to stop him, and then he gets back in the ring and is hit with the Viking experience. And they pick up the win. The Viking Raiders and Matt Riddle. Fun match, good opening match after the crowd was all pumped up from John Cena. So yeah, that was just a good way to go keep it going. Then we hit a low spot, because why the hell are we still doing this feud? Elias versus Jackson Ryker in a Symphony of Destruction match. Why? The first one wasn't worth doing, and this one shouldn't have been done either.
At least the first one had Braun in it.
Yeah, playing the cello like a bass.
Yeah.
But it was just music-based weapons.
But I will say, this was the best match that these two have put on yet. Was it good? Not really. Did I care? No. But was it an okay match? Was it better than everything they've put on in the past? Probably.
Yeah, and it's just, this match is, what, is this like the third week in a row at least that they've
had a
match?
And I think they've skipped weeks, and neither of them were on TV. And before that, they were feuding as well. So, yeah, this is just ongoing. I
don't care about Ryker at all. I like Elias, but
they're trying.
He's not done anything recently. He loses every match, so why would we really care about him? You knew Ryker was going to win this. So, yeah, it wasn't a bad match, but it just wasn't one I cared about.
Yeah.
And then we had the women's tag match, which is Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler again versus Natalya and Tamina. And can we just get rid of Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax as a team, please?
I really don't understand why nobody's getting title matches against these two. Because we had Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart beat them clean. What, twice? That happened twice, I think.
Yeah.
And they haven't gotten a title match. Like, where's their title match? They haven't gotten it. And it just makes no sense to me. This whole tag team division does not make sense to me. The NXT women's tag team division, that makes sense. The Knockouts tag team division, that makes sense. Why is WWE having such a hard time with this?
Yeah, Reginald calls a distraction, so Baszler eats a super kick and loses again. Why do they keep just burying Baszler? What did she do in the Summit of the... Who did she piss off? Because she
dominated Elimination Chamber to get this.
Yeah. And then Nia Jax headbutts Reginald after to end their relationship. I wish he would have headbutted Baszler and into that relationship.
Yeah.
But then 24/7 guys run down and Akira Tozawa gets in the ring to escape them, and Reggie hits him with a pretty good move, and he wins the title that nobody cares about.
Yeah.
But it was funny. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was kind of cool. Reginald did that like flip on the steel steps. He did a flip over top of, I can't remember who it was, but he did a flip over top of somebody, and that was awesome.
Yeah. Next up we have Sheamus versus Humberto Carrillo again, because last time Sheamus, of course, attacked him in the back.
She did bad.
He didn't get a real shot. I like this match. Both these guys are good. Sheamus is probably the better of the two, obviously, but Carrillo's young.
Yeah, he's getting
and, we had to show Damian Priest watching the match in the back, because he did come out to save Carrillo last week, and that's probably Sheamus' next feud.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind, because those two together should be really good. Overall, I'd say this was a decent match on Raw. And Sheamus hits the bro kick. Of course, he wasn't going to lose this one for the win. Probably one of their best matches because they put on a couple of matches together. And this was probably the best one they've had so far because it was an actual match and they had a little bit of time instead of just a 2-minute.
Yeah, they got a little bit of time here, which made it better. It made it to where this was a pretty decent match. It wasn't something completely unforgettable.
Next up, we have Bobby Lashley's Open Challenge.
Jesus Christ.
And everybody thought it was going to be Goldberg coming out for this part, for the challenging right there. But no, it was the returning Keith Lee. And I love Keith Lee, and I wish they wouldn't have made him lose when his return. But I still thought it was a decent match. He didn't get squashed, at least, like as bad like as Kofi did.
I don't think it was as bad as Kofi, but I still call it a squash. He was getting dominated for like 85% of that match. He got off like 3 moves maybe. Like he was getting destroyed the entire match.
Which is just awful because Keith Lee is amazing.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. You're returning. He got a pop out of it, and then he just got destroyed for 85% of the match. If you're gonna bring Keith Lee back, why like this?
If you don't want him in the title picture, don't put him against Lashley like this.
No, he's been gone for like a year, and this is how you make him return. That wasn't good.
Then of course, that's when Goldberg comes out, gets in Lashley's face, and says he's next. And MVP just pulls Lashley away. Lashley wanted to jump in, and nobody cared because
Goldberg wrestles 2 times a year, and this is SummerSlam's gonna be it.
Just wish he'd just not wrestle anymore. He can come back and do like
Don't tell
special spots. I know. And I'm glad the kids like it. It's just like he's so bad in the ring.
Yeah, he
was never good in the ring, but at least he could do those few moves very well, and now I don't think he can get Lashley up. He had a hard time with smaller guys.
I mean, he almost killed Undertaker when he did it.
Yeah.
So.
And Lashley is no small dude.
It's a beefy
all
boy.
Muscle. He's gonna really struggle. He better have been working in the weight room because otherwise Lashley's gonna just fall on his head and break his neck.
I bet he was. Yeah. No. I don't know. It's like he's a nice cheap pop. Like he's a legend. I get it. I wouldn't call him a WWE legend. He's a WCW legend.
Yeah, he was like the one guy WCW really made towards the end. They just couldn't make new guys, and he was the one. And if they could have done more, then they might be still around. I mean, the whole background stuff they probably still wouldn't be around because of that. The AOL stuff. But, another segment that we should skip over. But Karrion Kross makes his main roster debut against Jeff Hardy, who... When's the last time Jeff Hardy really done anything on WWE? I mean, he beat...
Nothing.
Beat Rich Swann. Or not Rich Swann, Cedric Alexander.
Yeah.
And then he wasn't on TV for a while.
But hey, he got his theme song back.
And I like Jeff. If he would have used on TV and then this would have been a much bigger match, but why did you make your NXT champion lose to someone that's not on TV?
Yeah, you had the main roster debut of the NXT champion, who's supposed to be this dominant dude in NXT.
You made NXT look so weak because of that.
Yeah.
All those guys have just lost to him, and now Hardy can beat him. Okay, he did use the ropes to help pin him a little bit, but you still made those guys look weak.
Yeah. This was... Rumor has it that this is a punishment for NXT losing to AEW and making NXT switch nights. But even if that is true, like, NXT, in Vince's head at least, is their developmental. What kind of developmental shit is that? You have this champion that is dominant and has a name. Everybody knows who he is. You take away his everything that's cool about him. I hate Karrion Kross. I do, because I care a lot more about in-ring talent, and I don't think he's good in the ring. But you took away everything that made Karrion Kross special, as Adam Cole would say. You took away everything that makes him special, as in the theme song. The theme song he still had, but he missed out on the lighting, the fog machine, the girl, all of that makes him somewhat cool, and you removed it and made him lose in his main roster debut while holding the NXT Championship. You made NXT look like a joke in a matter of 2 minutes.
Ty said now he's got COVID, so he can't capitalize on that. Who has COVID?
Jeff Hardy was announced yesterday that he tested positive for COVID.
That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't have Scarlett, which Scarlett's huge for him. She definitely plays a big part of his success. But yeah, I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. They did all this for nothing.
It made him look bad, NXT, and didn't do anything for Jeff. So
no.
Why bury the NXT roster? I mean, okay, you're mad they lost, but it's not their fault. They put on a good product every week.
They did. Yeah, I don't get it. I hate Karrion Kross. I don't think he's good. I think that he's made special, even though he's not at all. I have something in my eye. But yeah, I don't get it. Yes, it was punishment for NXT losing the ratings war, with air quotes, and moving nights to Tuesday nights instead of Wednesdays. That's the rumor, at least, that Vince is pissed off at NXT still, and this was his way of burying NXT.
Yeah, Ty, let's hope he didn't have it on Raw, because then he exposed not only the backstage wrestler, everybody back there, but anybody near him, because he was around the ringside.
Yeah, but just bad in general.
Yeah, earlier in the night, Charlotte came out to celebrate her 11th time. This is 11th time, but isn't it like 14?
It's our 14th Women's Championship. I think it's our 11th Raw Women's Championship.
Well, she came out to challenge her, or celebrate her championship over Rhea. And then, of course, Rhea comes to the ring, and Queen says she can beat her any night of the week, any time. And Rhea took that as, well, let's have a match tonight. And then Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce came out and agreed. So they booked the rematch, because Raw, rematch. It wasn't as good as the night before. Not even close.
No. And they were both injured during that match, but yeah.
Charlotte hits the finish, or Rhea Ripley hit her finisher on her, and she went for it, and then the Queen won. She reversed the figure four, and then she put her in the figure eight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then Charlotte got the belt and was leaving. Ripley went to get her, and Charlotte hits her with the belt. So Charlotte loses by disqualification, keeps the belt. Ripley beats the hell out of Charlotte, and then it's leaving, and then Nikki comes out and cashes in her Money in the Bank, and we had
a big old smile on her face.
Yeah, I'm glad she cashed in, because I thought this might be the year that the women's one is just oh no, a woman finally failed. But yeah. Nikki captured the World Women's title. I think that's her first one, right?
Yep.
I know she had the women's tag titles with Bliss.
Yep, she'd never won it in NXT. She'd never won a singles on the main roster. This is their first women's championship under the WWE umbrella. Not the gimmick I thought she'd win it under, but Yeah.
Yeah, as Titus said, the Raw R in Raw stands for rematch.
True. Very true.
not not a bad Raw overall, but not great either.
True.
A lot of rematches and
It was okay.
stuff that didn't make sense.
It was okay, but I'm more angry about Keith Lee and Karrion Kross. So that makes me a little bitter on that. Yeah, that's what made me hate that episode of Raw. Not necessarily the rematch portions.
There was definitely stuff to hate.
But moving on to NXT, we started out with Bobby Fish and Kushida versus Diamond Mine, and you had Diamond Mine lose already. Made no sense whatsoever to a thrown together tag team of Bobby Fish and Kushida. I didn't understand making Tyler Rust and Roderick Strong lose this early. They've been announced as a faction now for what, 3 weeks? And you already have them lose to a thrown together tag team? Didn't like that. Didn't like that at all.
Yeah, that didn't make sense. It's one of the few NXT things that you go,
yeah, what are
you guys doing now?
Yeah, exactly.
Did somebody from Raw book this match?
This is, like, it's rare when I'm like, NXT, what are you doing? But this is that one time that I was really curious on what they were doing. But next up, we had Frankie Monet against JC Jane. This was a squash match. Another one for Frankie. Yeah, Mandy Rose was at the announce table this week to watch Frankie Monet. We still don't know where that's going yet. We don't know if Mandy Rose is going to be an in-ring competitor and she's going to feud with Frankie Monet, or if she's scouting her to be a potential tag team partner, or whatever it may be. We don't know yet. But Frankie Monet does pick up the win.
Yeah, Wade Barrett was trying to slip her his number. That was pretty funny.
Yep. No, I enjoyed that. Next up, go on.
What happened to Mandy Rose and
Sonya Deville?
what's her name? No, her tag
Oh,
partner,
Dana Brooke.
Yeah,
Dana Brooke's pregnant.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Dana Brooke is pregnant.
Good reason not to wrestle.
It is a good reason not to wrestle. But yes, Dana Brooke announced on Twitter or Instagram or something that she is pregnant. So that is why Mandy Rose had to move on. And I'm glad they found something for Mandy Rose pretty quick.
Ty said Frankie comes out every week looking like a loofah. I thought she looked more like a poodle this week. True. But I could see loofah.
Next up, we had Kyle O'Reilly versus Austin Theory. I don't know. Kyle O'Reilly defeats Austin Theory by submission. I don't really like Austin Theory losing that much. So, hear me out. So, Austin Theory was the record... He was the longest reigning Evolve champion of all time, and still the champion when WWE bought out Evolve. They brought Austin Theory over as this protege. He's young. He's only, 23 years old. He's extremely young. He's extremely good. Evolve has some of the top prospects, or had some of the top prospects in wrestling there, because that was the new developmental after NXT became really a worldwide promotion itself. But you had Austin Theory at the age of 21 winning the championship and holding it for almost 2 years. And then now you have him on NXT. He got squashed on NXT one of the first times he was there. Then he went to the main roster as a disciple. I understand what happened with everything. Like, he was a part of the whole thing that was going on at that time. So I get why he was pulled. But then he was brought back, and he loses. I don't think he's won a singles match in the entire time he's been here. He also lost a dark match on SmackDown on Friday. I was going to talk about that when we hit SmackDown. But Austin Theory lost there as well to a guy that's in the breakout tournament. So I don't understand. I think Austin Theory is great. I assumed when I saw that Austin Theory was signed to NXT, he was going to break Randy Orton's record of the youngest WWE champion of all time, but he's backtracked heavily the past 2 years. Yes, Ty, I do agree. Kyle O'Reilly is great. It wasn't necessarily a shot at Kyle O'Reilly why I went on this rant. It's just Austin Theory losing all the time. Like, he never wins. And then me seeing that he also lost on a dark match on SmackDown.
You'd just rather have somebody else face O'Reilly to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I think Austin Theory is way too good to be in the position that he's in, personally.
It was a good match, though.
It was. And Austin...
Regardless of the outcome.
Yeah, and both of them are great. I just think that Austin Theory should be breaking away from Johnny Gargano at this point in time. Like, this has been going on a while. I think he should be breaking away at some point and being the star that he is, because he has everything. He has charisma. He has the in-ring skills. He's definitely very, very good on the mic. He's funny on the backstage segments and everything like that. Yeah, he just doesn't get what he should be getting. I do think he is going to be a future multi-time WWE champion. Just right now, I don't like what's going on with that. But moving on, because I just went on a rant about nothing. We had Legado del Fantasma provoking Hit Row. This was great in general. I'm glad we are getting something out of Hit Row as far as a faction battle. So this is nice. I love this segment. I'm loving everything Hit Row's doing the past couple weeks, honestly. But next up, we had the person who beat Austin Theory in that dark match on SmackDown. Odyssey Jones versus Andre Chase. Odyssey Jones ends up picking up the win. It wasn't a good match. It wasn't. It was kind of a squash match. But yeah,
that's a big dude.
That is a big dude.
Very skinny looking dude.
Yeah. Now I don't think Odyssey Jones should win the breakout tournament. Because there's a lot of good guys in that tournament. But Odyssey Jones, he literally looks like Mark Henry. He's being dubbed as Mark Henry's son. Next up, we had LA Knight with his butler, Cameron Grimes, versus Drake Maverick. This was fun. This was definitely fun. Yeah, you had LA Knight mocking Cameron Grimes to carry his bags into the arena. Drake Maverick trying to help him, which led to their match. But yeah, LA Knight was dominating basically the entire match until he distracted himself, really, by making Cameron Grimes hold up the title higher and higher, which that gave Drake Maverick the advantage to go ahead and hit LA Knight, which knocked LA Knight's head into his own championship, and he got rolled up for a 3 count, which Cameron Grimes loved. He loved every second of it. Yeah, but then Cameron Grimes was forced to punch Drake Maverick in the face. So that yeah, that's where we're at. I do like the chemistry of LA Knight and Cameron Grimes.
Yeah, those two are great together, especially with the 2 gimmicks.
Exactly. And then moving on, we had the NXT Championship match, NXT Women's Championship match. Raquel Gonzalez versus Xia Li. I didn't like this match. I didn't think it was a good match. It was kind of slow and sloppy, and I don't know. There was just something about it. I also don't think they got enough time either. But Gonzalez ends up picking up the win. I think that I was just so disappointed in this match because they've been building up this whole Xia Li, storyline for like 2 months now to make it to this point, and then it was just such an underwhelming match in general. But yeah, Gonzalez ends up picking up the win. And then in the final segment of the night, we had Karrion Kross taking advantage of Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe calls out Karrion Kross. And then we see Karrion Kross pop up on the screen. He basically said he's the NXT champion. That means he can do whatever he wants. He can go wherever he wants and do anything. The camera, he kind of looks down and the camera goes down and it shows that William Regal has been laid out by Karrion Kross. Samoa Joe runs to the back to try to save him and to get his hands on Karrion Kross, but Karrion Kross drives off before he can get there. This is apparently leading to Samoa Joe versus Karrion Kross for the NXT Championship, which I'm a fan of. I think you guys know how I feel about Karrion Kross, so yeah.
No, Travis. No.
No.
We don't want him.
He wouldn't fit. There's good wrestlers in AEW. Not guys like Edge. Anyway,
Shots fired.
if you want to do night one and night two of Fyter Fest, go for it. This is the best thing to talk about anyway. You got it.
All right. Was the first match IWGP match?
Yes. The first match was
Carl Anderson.
Carl Anderson.
All right. The IWGP United States Championship, Jon Moxley versus Carl Anderson for the opener. And this was a really good match because, I mean, what do you expect with these two guys? And seeing the New Japan belt on AEW is cool. I didn't think Moxley was going to lose, and he didn't. But yeah, it was a really good match overall, and there was, of course, some interference, from the outside. Good brothers coming out there, but Eddie Kingston comes out and helps him. And they started at the beginning. Eddie Kingston jumps Doc Gallows right at the beginning, and they fought into the crowd, which was pretty good, hilarious. Also, loving the crowds on all of the shows. It's good to have fans back in the. But yeah, Moxley hits the paradigm shift and retains his title. And then that sets up for next week. We're gonna have this past week, because this was 2 weeks ago. Lance Archer challenges Moxley, and then he agrees later on. But he says since they're gonna be in Texas, we're gonna make it a Texas death match. So, will that be a good match? We'll find out after this. Then we have the FTW Championship match, Brian Cage versus Ricky Starks. This match was okay. Not like the best I've seen out of these guys, but still decent. We had the rest of Team Taz was out there. Starks tried to grab the belt, and then tried to grab it until he could hit him with it, and Hobbs stops him. But then a few minutes later, Hook goes over and distracts the referee, and Hobbs hits Cage with the belt on his own. So it really didn't make much sense there. why did he stop him?
Because he wanted to do it.
And then Team Taz gets in the ring and celebrates with Ricky Starks, and that was like the only thing. I was like, it didn't make sense if you were gonna do it anyway. Why didn't you just let him do it? But yeah, like you said, he wanted to do it. So I guess Brian Cage is out of Team Taz.
That's what it looks like.
But I mean, I figured that was where it was going anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure Cage is just gonna come back and just start destroying them to get. He's gonna destroy Team Taz one at a time just to get back to Ricky Stark. Next up, we had Cody Rhodes calling out Malachi Black, and Black was up on the big screen talking to him, and then the lights come out, and Black's in the ring, and then they fought, and security breaks them up. I thought it was a pretty good promo from both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Crowd was into it, and Black certainly looks better than he did on WWE. So, letting him do stuff. Next up, we had Hangman Page in the ring with Tony Schiavone, and then the Elite come out and they're talking shit to him, like, "Oh, it's our friend that just left us," and making him feel bad, but he doesn't. And then the Dark Order comes out and helps him. It's this big brawl. Gotta love the big brawls.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, really good segment, and you're setting it up for that Hangman versus Hangman versus Omega for the title. That slow build they're doing,
which has a 5v5 match coming this Wednesday. If Hangman and the Dark Order win, Hangman gets his title match with Kenny Omega, and any of the other two get a tag team match to face the Young Bucks for the championships. So it's a nice number one contendership 5-on-5 elimination match this Wednesday.
Yeah. Do you think they're gonna win?
I think they have to at this point.
They're gonna make him earn it another way.
That's a good question, because I think it's very fast. I think it's quick right now to have... Hangman has to be the person to take the title off of Kenny. He has to. Like, it just makes the most sense that Hangman would be that guy. And I think it's a little too fast. I think they need a couple more months with Kenny as a dominant champion. He's still dominating other promotions as well. So it would just be strange for him to lose it this quick.
Yeah. Next up, we have Kristen Cage versus Matt Hardy.
Since 2005?
I mean, these guys have good chemistry, so it was a really good match. And, yeah, we've seen them a number of times in many promotions, but it still was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing, like, amazing, but they're both getting older, so you gotta expect they're not gonna go Jeff Hardy and jump off 20-foot ladder, kill themselves. But, Kristen Cage gets the win here, and then the rest of the Hardy front office comes out and starts surrounding the ring. They're all going to jump him, and then Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus make the save. And then Luchasaurus was carrying around Jungle Boy on it, or
Christian Cage like he was what?
Yeah. Jungle Boy kind of gave him a look at first.
He's like, that's my spot.
Bro, what are you doing? That's mine. Then we had a video promo from Miro calling himself the Redeemer, and I'm just loving everything they're doing with Miro now.
Mm-hmm.
He's so much better than when he first appeared on AEW.
Yeah.
I mean, that stuff wasn't bad, but this Miro was...
This is the one that everybody
This is what we wanted to see.
Yeah.
And then we also had a little thing from Britt Baker talking about how she's gonna fight Nyla Rose, which was really good.
Mm-hmm.
She was really arrogant, but she tried to be a babyface also, it seemed like, so she was really going with that tweener thing. Next up we had Sammy Guevara versus Wheeler Yuta.
Ty was the best man. Wasn't necessarily... The best man was, when he explained it, he was not only the best man of the wedding, but he was the best man in AEW. He was the best at everything. He was the best wrestler. He was the best on the mic. He was the best in general. So that's why he kept the best man gimmick. But no, it wasn't nearly as good as what he's doing right now, because what he's doing now is what everybody wanted to start with.
But this match was obviously going to be kind of a squash match. But Wheeler Yuta did get a few things in, but overall it was just to highlight Sammy and give him a win because he had taken the loss the week before. But still be a fun match to watch because Sammy is just over with the crowd too. They cheer him like he's the star, which he's gonna be.
Absolutely.
And we had Yuka Sakazaki, I hope I said that right, versus Penelope Ford. And it was only an okay match. This is the first time since the pandemic started that Sakazaki's been on AEW. It's been over a year.
Mm-hmm.
And she, of course, picked up the win. And okay match. Nothing great about it or anything. Then we had the match of the night. For me, at least.
I agree.
Darby Allin versus Ethan Page in a coffin match.
Darby Allin's a psychopath.
Yes, he is. And we had the coffin brought out, and Scorpio Sky was apparently in there, because wrestlers don't check before the match starts. Even though we've seen somebody be in the coffin a number of times. Yeah, Batman. I like Penelope Ford.
She was 16-1 going into this match. That's what Excalibur said. It was kind of a shock that she lost, because she's only lost to Hikaru Shida. But yeah, it's Yuka's very good.
Yeah. Once Scorpio Sky got out of the ring, then Sting come out here and they fought into the crowd. Sting was beating him around the arena. At one point, Ethan Page pulled out a giant hook thing and was using it on Darby, and then Darby took it and put it in his mouth and was fish hooking him with it, and that was like hard to watch. Wasn't a fan of that. Then Darby finally got him into the coffin, and then after the match, because he won, he decided to do a coffin drop through the coffin, like a crazy
After
person.
he already had one.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a really good match, and that spot was just like, ow. I mean, it looked like it wasn't thick wood, but I'm sure it still hurt, and he had to get a splinter or two in his back.
And not to mention Ethan Page in there, because there wasn't any gimmicking that.
Yeah.
You could see Ethan Page after it like got shattered. Like you could see he was in pain.
Yeah, I mean, a guy landing on you hurts. A guy with part of a wooden tub coming down on you like that, yeah. So yeah, he's a crazy bastard, and Ethan Page was crazy for taking that spot. And so on to night 2.
Yes, sir.
We had the first labor of Jericho. Jericho versus Shawn Spears. It's a chairs match, but Jericho can't use the chair. This match wasn't as good as I thought it was gonna be. I'm not saying it was bad. It just wasn't really that great.
Yeah.
Not as good as we've seen from Jericho. Of course, Jericho picks up the win. Did you think he wasn't going to? He's gonna win at least the first 4, I'd say. The 5th one he might lose, which is to MJF himself.
Yeah, I mean the next one that they announced, I'm excited to see that one. But after seeing, so I'm just gonna say it. MJF did come out and announce that he congratulated Jericho on winning the first of the 5 labors. But he announced that next week will be a no disqualification match against Nick Gage. So if you guys know who Nick Gage is, he's a psychopath. He's the king of deathmatch wrestling. He did, however, just have a deathmatch literally on Saturday. Today's Sunday, so 2 days ago. Yeah, he just had a death match against Matt Cardona, which he did lose in GCW. He lost his heavyweight championship to Matt Cardona. So he might have some effects from that match, possibly. But yeah, I guess we'll see. You cannot kill David Arquette. According to that, yes, the man who almost killed David Arquette. He stabbed him.
That's
in
the only
neck.
thing I know him from. I
Yeah.
never really watched his other stuff.
If you just want to prep yourself for this match, Dark Side of the Ring this season had a Nick Gage episode, and Jon Moxley talks on it a lot because Jon Moxley used to do death matches with him all the time in CZW and things like that. And the dude's a psychopath. He literally got arrested for robbing a bank.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, how they're gonna have him on there? He robbed a bank." I'm like, okay, and the law probably took care of that. Did he go to jail? I don't know.
Yeah, he went to jail.
So he's paid his time, you know.
He went to jail for like 8 years, and then he got out and got re-signed by CZW, and then, he went against his probation and got put back in jail for like another 5 years. So he's been in jail for a while. Dude's a psychopath, but he's only really known for deathmatch wrestling as well. But yeah, if you want to do a little bit of research on Nick Gage, watch the Dark Side of the Ring on him. It is a very good episode, I will say that. Yeah, you'll know who Nick Gage is real quick if you watch that.
Next up we had Frankie the Elite Hunter Kazarian versus Doc Gallows, and this was okay match too. You know, crowd didn't really seem into it at all.
No.
Carl Anderson distracted Kazarian and allowed Doc Gallows to get the win with a sit-out choke bomb. And for being the Elite Hunter, he sure hasn't really done much with them. He got his ass kicked a number of times and doesn't have a win over them, I believe.
No.
Not recently, anyway.
No, he doesn't.
So they're kind of dropping the ball on that one, I think.
I think the only one he has a win over is Brandon Cutler, which who doesn't have a win over Brandon Cutler?
Is he really even part of the Elite? He's just
He's the camera guy.
Dude.
He's the camera guy. That's it.
And then you had Callis Omega come out to the ring and he was making fun of him, and then Hangman came out there. And the crowd pop for Hangman, of course, is just huge.
Mm-hmm.
And then Page handed his beer to John Callis, and then he started fighting. And then the Dark Order helped come out and even the odds. So, yeah, the ending was a lot better than the match itself.
Agreed. A lot of storytelling there.
Yeah. And then we had Darby Allin versus Wheeler Yuta. This man's getting some good matches on. He got promoted off of Dark, so putting some we get some really good young guys. Wheeler Yuta.
For those who say that AEW doesn't create their own stars,
Not gonna name names.
Nope. Not this time, Kira.
Uh, it was another squash type match, but again, you're just giving Yuda screen time, letting him develop a little bit. And I didn't think he was going to beat Darby. And of course, Darby had just gone through the coffin the week before, so see him out there was kind of surprised.
Oh, hold on. I will tell you that the Screamer one gives us like a half-second warning that it's about to happen because it pops up on the screen before the actual scream starts. I need to talk to Travis about that one. There is another Scream one. I think it's called Jump Scare. That is much better. If you do it the Bits way, it's like if you go. Oh, my phone's dead. Yeah, if you go to the sound alerts, that doesn't give us any warning whatsoever. But that one also costs bits to do. But yeah, the Screamer one gives us like a half second. Oh, and you hit it behind everything? That's smart. I probably should do that.
Also, during this match, Orange Cassidy came out with Wheeler Yuta, and Sting came out with Darby, and they were trading blows, but they were the little shin kicks that Orange Cassidy does. And then Sting did the beat of his chest, but he did it real slow. That was just great. Just the whole thing was between those two was hilarious. And then we had the women's championship match. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD versus Nyla Rose.
You tried. I'm ready for it now, Ty. I'm ready. I announced that they're there, so I fully expect people to do it.
Get him tonight, Ty. While you guys are in the middle of a game. Just
That's
open
true.
Your phone
That's true. At 8 o'clock, we are streaming again. We're going to be doing Halo 5. And I'll forget about this conversation by then. So if you want to try to get me, 8 o'clock's probably going to be your way to get me. Because now I'm thinking about it.
But like not at the beginning, yeah. You want to do it in the middle. When
yeah,
you guys are in the middle of a heated match and he's just focusing.
Yeah, you want to do it when I'm really focusing in.
When he leans forward in the chair, that's when you know he's not paying attention to the screen.
Now he's just gonna hit me with a goal, so it goes on forever.
But this women's title match, it was not as good as I was expecting.
I don't know. I really don't. I was never really impressed with Nyla Rose as a wrestler in general. I haven't really been a fan of her wrestling per se. Like it makes sense. Like she's better than Nia, but like that's not saying much.
Yeah, but of course Britt won and kept the title.
8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sorry, Beth. I forget time zones exist. You know.
Then we had an interview with Andrade El Idolo.
Yeah.
And he did not come out with Vicky, but he introduces his new executive consultant, Chavo Guerrero, which I like better than having Vicky because Vicky kind of can be annoying.
Chavo makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, but they didn't give us a reason why, which that kind of is annoying. They could have just like, Vicky's got to handle her thing with Nyla. But
yeah,
you know, just any kind of explanation instead of just doing this. But okay, but yeah, it does make more sense.
But this was the big surprise that he's been trying to say for the past 3 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, you guys aren't going to get me because I can't hear them. I don't have the sound on for the stream since I would just hear myself talking and that would get annoying, which you guys all know.
The only way that you would be able to hear everything is if we do kind of what I do. Kind of what I do with Travis is on Discord we do a call and he shares his screen, and then I just full screen his screen, and then I hear everything he hears.
Yeah.
Something to think about in the future.
But then they call out Death Triangle, and he tries to get Phoenix and Penta to join him instead of being with Pac. He says it makes more sense for them to work with him instead of being under Pac, and then Pac says they're not under him, they all work together, they're basically family. A lot of trash talk in Spanish, and if I understood Spanish, it would probably been a lot better. But I mean, it was still a good little segment. But it would probably have been better if you understand Spanish. I mean, they did translate it in some parts.
No, my dog randomly barking for who knows why.
And then we have. I thought you were talking about wrestling. I forgot your dog's name is Moxley.
Oh, did I not mute when I said that?
No.
Oh, I have no idea why he's barking.
Next up we had Orange Cassidy versus The Blade. Earlier in the night, The Blade had come up and cheap shot to Orange Cassidy from out of nowhere with, I think he had the brass knuckles on.
Correct.
And this was okay.
He never barks. I don't know why he was barking. It's weird.
This wasn't a bad match. It was not great, but I had some. It was a decent match for these two. I don't know The Blade that well because he's only been in a few matches that I've watched, but I really like Orange Cassidy a lot. We had Chris Statlander and the Bunny out there with them, and they had some stuff going around on the outside, and then they tried to use the brass knuckles again, but he didn't get to hit him with those, but he hit him with the beach break for the win, Orange Cassidy. And then he used the brass knuckles himself and hit an orange punch and knocked the shit out of the Blade. And then we had Chris Jericho in the back.
I have a landscaper at the window. That's why. He's doing the bush. Yeah, he's doing the shrubs out front.
He's trying to warn you. Somebody's there to kill you.
Yeah. I just looked over and noticed that there's a guy right there. Then I noticed he was trimming the shrubs.
So we have Chris Jericho in the back, and he's got his back turned, talking to Alex Marvez, and said since he's going to be facing Nick Gage, he's going to have to go to the extreme, and he reintroduces his Painmaker persona.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the makeup on. This is what the persona he used in New Japan when he was facing Kenny Omega and some others. Ty's coming to protect you too. From the Bush guy.
From the guy trimming the shrubs.
Yeah. For the main event, the Texas Death Match for the IWGP United States title, Jon Moxley versus Lance Archer. Archer is the one that lost the title to Moxley in New Japan, so this is a
full circle
rematch. And holy shit, this match was good.
Yeah.
And just bloody. We had barbed wire and all kinds of weapons. Just low blows. Just a holy shit all around. And AEW chants from the crowd because this was great. Moxley hit him with the paradigm shift, and Archer still just shook it off looking like a monster. And he really needed this because he's lost some matches recently, but this one really showed that he could be a monster. And they both were using the fork on each other's forehead like it was a goddamn just machine gunning it on there. I'm like,
I'll get banned by Twitch if I do that.
stop, guys, stop. Just blood everywhere.
Yeah, that was a brutal spot.
Pull out these boards. Well, they were more like cardboard, but they put them on the table that were covered in barbed wire, and he went to throw him through, or he went to do the paradigm shift through.
Mm-hmm.
And Archer choke slams him through the board. And the only way you could win this was a 10 count. I think there was also submission. There was no pinning, though.
Yep.
And so he's in there just laying on those barbed wire, and they're doing the 10 count, and the announcers are like, I don't think he can get up. I think his skin is just in the barbed wire, and you could just tell he was stuck on there, and he lost his title. I was surprised. So Archer is now the
a nice
IWGP United States champion.
Yeah, this was a nice little shock. It was a great match, like overall. If you like violent matches, this was a great match. And then on top of that, it was a nice surprise because, yes, Lance Archer was the IWGP US champion before Moxley. Moxley beat him to win that title when he first left WWE and had his big surprise at Double or Nothing. And, yeah, I mean, it was nice. But then we saw before this match even started that Hikulo was in the front. He was in the audience. He was at front row for the match, and he's from New Japan. He's in Bullet Club, so you thought that this would be Moxley's next match. You didn't expect it to be the next match for Lance Archer, but it was a nice little shock. I enjoyed this, and it to close out with somebody from Bullet Club in the ring as well.
He is the son of Haku, right?
Yes.
And brother of one or both of the guys from Gorillas of Destiny? I don't know if they're both.
They're both brothers, yeah. He's the third brother of it.
Yeah, I didn't know if they were just brothers or cousins.
Yeah, Tamatanga and Tongaloa.
And they're fighting this week on AEW for the IWGP title.
Yep, that'll be coming up this week.
It's Fight for the Fallen?
Fight for the Fallen. Yes, sir. Which has a huge card. AEW Fighter Fest Night 2. The ratings came out and they were at 1.15 million, which is one of their biggest ratings ever, which I know doesn't sound like a incredible amount when you look at WWE's scale, but they're starting to close the gap there. And if I were a betting man, I would say with the card that AEW has, they are going to have even more than that. I would guess they're going to be closer to 1.5. Yeah, they're definitely becoming a powerhouse that people are starting to give a chance because they're doing stuff like this weekly. They've had special shows. They've called them different specials for free on live television for like the past 6 weeks. They've just been going all out for like 6 weeks, and the fans have been loving it, which is great.
And the fact that they don't have a pay-per-view every month also is something that I like. You can build and tell stories better. WWE has one story that's really good right now and nothing else. Nothing that is on the same level as that.
Yeah. Bat, who won a title in the Tokyo Dome? But moving on to our final conversation of the day, we have SmackDown. So SmackDown kicked off with John Cena, obviously talking about Roman Reigns challenging him to SummerSlam. And the fans were loving it again. He was calling out Roman Reigns, but Paul Heyman made his way onto the stage and said that he isn't worthy to be listened to by Roman Reigns. He also had a nice little... It went way too long. He was mocking John Cena's theme song. He was going, do 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 do, do 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 do. It went way too long, but it was hilarious. I loved every second of it. But next up, we had the returning Finn Balor facing Sami Zayn in the first match of the night, which ended up being, it was an okay match. These two, if they had more time, they could have put on a much better match. But it was good for what it's worth. Finn Balor picks up the win with coup de grace. He is showing signs of his NXT gimmick, but he's also showing signs of his pre-NXT gimmick again, which if it isn't good. Hopefully he keeps his good gimmick that he had in NXT this previous time as the Prince. Yes, they are calling him the Prince, but that's just a name. It's what he does in the ring and how his promos are, how he's actually going to be. So we'll see in the future. Hopefully they don't ruin Finn Balor again, because he's way too good for that. Honestly, enjoy AEW more than I actually enjoy WWE. WWE is turning more into a drama soap opera. Nothing is new. Everything is rehashed stories. It's boring. Yeah, it's become rematch central. A lot of people have that feeling, though. Chase Owens from Bullet Club is KOPW champion. Gotcha. Okay. Let's see. Next up, we had Baron Corbin being all depressed and everything.
Emo Corbin, as normal. Yeah, he was just questioning what's wrong with him. He's basically talking about where he came from to where he is now. He doesn't understand how this all happened so quick. And then we had Big E make his way to the ring with his briefcase. He was going down to basically say who he was choosing to go after as far as the world title goes. But before he could get into his promo, Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz come down. That also had Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode come down, and Rick Boogs and Shinsuke and Cesaro, and it was just a big brawl that... Why? A big brawl of why? Yeah.
Like, it made no sense. This was terrible. This was terrible. It just made no sense whatsoever. Just let Big E come out and talk. Like, he just won Money in the Bank. Big E's great.
And he received a huge pop. He doesn't need all these people.
Yeah, then you had the Intercontinental crew come down just to do what? Like, just rain on Big E's parade? Like, it just made no sense to me.
Ty says, I'm sorry to say it, but I'm actually feeling bad for him, meaning Corbin. But yeah, I do too. And I'm actually liking Corbin where this is going, so... But it was also hilarious when Ziggler and Roode stole the $20 or the money that...
Oh, TJ
Kevin
Perkins?
Owens.
I like TJ Perkins too. Sorry, talking to Trap. Yeah, it just made no sense. But WWE was in 2 different venues on Friday. So in the other venue at Rolling Loud, which is a music festival, Angelo Dawkins had a match with Chad Gable. The Street Profits came to the ring with Wale, who we all know is a huge WWE fan. He does a lot for WWE, mainly the New Day, but now he's also with the Street Profits. Angelo Dawkins ends up defeating Gable in an okay match. Why they had... It was kind of cool. I kind of liked I like the segments that were over there at Rolling Loud because I like the visuals. I was just saying 2 weeks ago how AEW just signed on to do a whole show at a fairgrounds, and how I was like, they're not going to get as many people like watching, but like just the visuals are going to be great with like a Ferris wheel in the background and like the zipper and just random rides and attractions and the lights and everything like that. It would be pretty cool. But this kind of gave us a little taste of that, it being a music festival. Not exactly the same thing, but it was a cool visual. Next up, still at Rolling Loud, we had Bianca Belair versus Carmilla. In another okay match, Bianca Belair ends up defeating Carmilla to retain her SmackDown Women's Championship. And then going back to the main arena in Cleveland, we had Edge and Seth Rollins talking back and forth. We had Rollins pretty much mocking Edge because Edge basically said that he wasn't going to stoop down to Rollins' level and he wasn't going to attack Seth Rollins. But Seth Rollins egged on until Edge snaps. Which had them do a little brawl that looked like Seth Rollins was on top, and then he took his jacket off and got hit with a education. And then as Edge was setting up a spear, he started to charge, but Seth Rollins rolled out of the ring, which was a great segment. I like this. I think that Seth Rollins is going to make Edge look good in the ring. And I swear, I know it sounds like I'm shitting on Edge, like, comedy-wise, but I seriously don't like Edge. I don't think he's that good in the ring, and I think he needs somebody to be able to help him out to make a good match. I promise you I'm not doing it to rag on you, Travis. But, yeah, it's just how I feel. But next up, we had Toni Storm debut against Zelena Vega. Zelena Vega, why did you sign? Why did you sign with WWE?
That didn't make any sense. She's just been shit on since she came back. I mean, they put her in the Money in the Bank match, so yay. But
yeah, she hasn't gotten a win since she's been back. She is getting shit on. But, I mean, you're not going to win when you're going against Toni Storm debuting, because Toni Storm is great, and she is going to be a future women's champion.
I don't know. I mean, we've seen Karrion Kross debut and lose.
That's true. But Toni Storm, apparently Vince loves Toni. He loves her gimmick. He loves her look. He loves everything. She's apparently supposed to get a big push in the near future. That's what the WWE say. So she's looking like she's going to be a women's champion within a year. But next up, we had Dominic Mysterio versus Jimmy Uso in okay match. I didn't think it was great. It did end with shades of Money in the Bank pre-show, to where Jimmy hit a roll-up on Dominic, and Jay put his feet on Jimmy's butt to keep him from being able to kick out. So Jimmy does pick up the win in this match. And then we had Roman Reigns in the ring to answer John Cena's challenge. Best promo we've ever seen from Roman, so that's a plus.
Definitely.
Easily the best promo we've seen from him. But yeah, he ends up mocking John Cena and saying no, he's not going to face John Cena at SummerSlam. Which, as he said that, Finn Balor's music hits, and Finn Balor comes out to the ring. And the crowd started chanting, "Roman's scared." So Finn Balor does challenge Roman Reigns and says, if you're going to deny his challenge, what do you say about mine? That's when the chants started raining down of Roman scared. Roman Reigns, with a smile on his face, accepts, and that's how we end. So I really don't know I messaged you and Travis when this happened, and I was like, what are they doing? Like, you have, like, John Cena return, and I understand it's all storyline and everything like that, and Cena's probably still going to be the one to face Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, but why even introduce Finn Balor to challenge for SummerSlam just to have it accept, and then you're going to have to pull him out of it somehow? I just didn't like that aspect of it. But I do love Finn Balor, and I think him and Roman would have a great match. But, yeah, I just didn't understand this whole dynamic of things, unless they're going to give Finn a match before SummerSlam, but then we know Finn Balor's just going to lose, so...
Yeah, and I don't want to see that.
Yeah,
I actually have my
nobody
Balor
wants to see
Club
that.
shirt on at the moment. I love Balor.
I have a Saban shirt on.
Yeah, I can see you. but yeah, the Roman's promo was really great.
Absolutely.
He's the same guy he's been for the last 15 years. It's like
Same
missionary every night for the same. That was his. I didn't do the line justice, but that line was great, hilarious.
Yeah.
And the crowd was.
The crowd was into it. Yeah, the whole segment was great. I was just a little confused of why Finn. Like, we love Finn. Finn definitely is one of the guys that I would say realistically could beat Roman. But then just to have him, yeah, he's going to be in a lose-lose situation because, yes, you just had him win on his return against Sami Zayn. That's cool and everything. But shouldn't you kind of keep the momentum instead of throwing him to the wolves against Roman in a losing situation? There's no way he's going to beat Roman and then it be Finn Balor versus John Cena at SummerSlam. That just doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, he's most likely going to have a good match. I'm not going to say it's going to be a bad match. He's going to have a good match, but he's ultimately going to end up coming up short, which if you guys have been watching NXT the past handful of months, the past year really, how good Finn Balor's been, especially as a champion, that's kind of sad just to watch him lose like that. But here we are. But that was your week and a half in wrestling. How did you feel about our delay in lengthening this episode? We honestly didn't lengthen the episode that much. We're still at about 2 hours. So
yeah, AEW killed it both weeks.
Absolutely, and they're probably gonna kill it this week too.
Money in the Bank, really good. Best pay-per-view that WWE's had in a while.
Slammiversary was good. It was a good pay-per-view.
SmackDown had good promos.
And Raw
okay
sucked.
Matches.
Raw just sucked. Sucked the life out of us. Man. It's rough. Yes, Raw was dookie cheeks. But yeah, that is the week and a half in wrestling. Thank you guys for being flexible and coming out early. We're going to be live again in about 4.5 hours doing some Halo 5. But yeah, tomorrow, Bo Burnham Inside, the review. That's going to be great. If you haven't watched that, it's on Netflix. It's a Netflix special. Absolutely amazing. I've watched it probably 15, 20 times now. I watched it again last night to prepare. Wednesday, we're going to do another Halo night. Not too sure if we're going to do multiplayer or if we're going to do the multiplayer co-op. Thursday, my pay-per-view. NAW versus The World. I have told you guys a few of the people that are going to show up there. But yeah, that's going to be fun. Then stay tuned Friday, Saturday. We may have things pop up, and then we're back at it on Sunday. We got a good week of content. There's a lot of good things coming out this week. So if you don't, turn on notifications because, yeah, we pop up every now and then. So thank you guys for coming out. Trevor, you have anything?
Thanks everybody for coming. Sorry for the delay between episodes.
And that
Real
was
life happens.
Yeah, that was I'll take blame on that because that was me getting busy on Monday with work, and then we were gonna do it on Wednesday, and then I had another late night. I just had a really busy week of work, and I work in sales, so I work when other people are home, so I have a very weird schedule that I have to be extremely flexible with. So, but thank you guys for coming out. We appreciate it. And we will see you guys on Sunday. At least we should. But please tune in about 4.5 hours, and I'll see you there. See ya.